after all. She slid behind the wheel. When she turned the ignition key, the radio came on. Mel Spruce's AM Baltimore, a call-in talk show. She let it run, for the moment. She adjusted the seat, which had been moved back for someone taller, and she tilted the rearview mirror downward. Her own face flashed toward her, round and slightly shiny. Her blue eyes quirked at the inner corners as if she were worried about something, when in fact she was only straining to see in the gloom. She shifted gears and sailed smoothly toward the front of the shop, where the manager stood frowning at a clipboard just outside his office door. Today's question on AM Baltimore was, what makes an ideal marriage? A woman was phoning in to say it was common interests. Like if you both watch the same kind of programs on TV, she explained. Maggie couldn't care less what made an ideal marriage. She'd been married 28 years. She rolled down her window and called, "Bye now," and the manager glanced up from his clipboard. She glided past him, a woman in charge of herself for once, lipsticked and medium-heeled and driving an undented car. A soft voice on the radio said, "Well, I'm about to remarry. The first time was purely for love. It was genuine, true love, and it didn't work at all. Next Saturday, I'm marrying for security." Maggie looked over at the dial and said, "Fiona?" She meant to brake, but accelerated instead, and shot out of the garage and directly into the street. A Pepsi truck approaching from the left smashed into her left front fender, the only spot that had never, up till now, had the slightest thing go wrong with it. Back when Maggie played baseball with her brothers, she used to get hurt, but say she was fine, for fear they would make her quit. She'd pick herself up and run on without a limp, even if her knee was killing her. Now she was reminded of that, for when the manager rushed over, shouting, "What the? Are you all right?" she stared straight ahead in a dignified way and told him, "Certainly. Why do you ask?" and drove on, before the Pepsi driver could climb out of his truck, which was probably just as well, considering the look on his face. But in fact, her fender was making a very upsetting noise, something like a piece of tin dragging over gravel. So as soon as she turned the corner and the two men, one scratching his head, one waving his arms, had disappeared from her rearview mirror, she came to a stop. Fiona was not on the radio anymore. Instead, a woman with a raspy tenor was comparing her 5 husbands. Maggie cut the motor and got out. She could see what was causing the trouble. The fender was crumpled inward, so the tire was hitting against it. She was surprised the wheel could turn, even. She squatted on the curb, grasped the rim of the fender in both hands, and tugged. She remembered hunkering low in the tall grass of the outfield and stealthily, wincingly, peeling her jeans leg away from the patch of blood on her knee. Flakes of gray-blue paint fell into her lap. Someone passed on the sidewalk behind her, but she pretended not to notice and tugged again. This time the fender moved, not far, but enough to clear the tire, and she stood up and dusted off her hands. Then she climbed back inside the car, but for a minute simply sat there. "Fiona," she said again. When she restarted the engine, the radio was advertising bank loans, and she switched it off. Ira was waiting in front of his store, unfamiliar and oddly dashing in his navy suit. A shock of ropey, black, gray-threaded hair hung over his forehead. Above him, a metal sign swung in the breeze. "Sam's Frame Shop. Picture framing, matting, your needlework professionally displayed." Sam was Ira's father, who had not had a thing to do with the business since coming down.